Dear Diary, it's fair to say we looked at how we play away from home after the 4-1 loss at Aston Villa, and thankfully have got back on track since then. That started with a 1-0 win in the Champions League at Applewell, albeit we still weren't as dominant on the scoreline as expected using the tiki-taka. Off the back of that, we did what was expected of us, picking up 3 wins domestically, all by comfortable margins over Bournemouth and Middlesbrough in the Premier League, as well as Hull City in the EFL Cup. Then going into our next Champions League game at Copenhagen, we tried a GEGENPRESS and it seemed to pay dividends, picking up a 3-0 win. So we might try that in this next little stretch, which includes a London derby against Chelsea, albeit at home, and a Champions League trip to Real Sociedad. Hopefully, we can stay top of the Prem and get inside the top 8 of the UCL. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 84 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Arsenal. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we have a London derby in the Premier League as we do host currently 6th place Chelsea, and then off the back of showing you guys highlights from a trip away to Sheffield United, we travel to Spain to take on Real Sociedad in the Champions League. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and have been enjoying this series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but hopefully that intro caught you guys up on all of the games that we have played since yesterday's episode where we did take on Manchester United and Aston Villa. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner as you saw through that intro. Was thinking about changing our away tactic off the back of that 4-1 loss to Aston Villa. We stuck with the tiki-taka for that 1-0 win in the Champions League away at Applewell, but to be fair, even though it was quite a rotated team, was still a bit disappointed with our goal scoring in this game, albeit Trincao did miss a penalty. And as you're about to see, it was very reminiscent of Koop Miners against Bayern Munich at the end of last week, so I was not too impressed with that, but thankfully we did come back with a goal with around about a half hour left, so thankfully did get all 3 points from that one through Parade coming off of the bench. So we did get a win in that one, thankfully, because otherwise that would have been very frustrating with that statistical dominance. But even off the back of that game, it did just feel like not quite at our best trying to play tiki-taka away from home. Thankfully though, in our next couple of games, we were able to use the tiki-taka against Bournemouth, Hull City and Middlesbrough, teams that we should have been beating, and did so quite comfortably. But then against Copenhagen, off the back of that slightly disappointing performance against Applewell, we did switch to a GEGENPRESS. Thought we'd try this one out away in the Champions League, and thankfully it did pay dividends somewhat with that 3-0 win. So we have won all of our games since that surprising loss to Aston Villa, or at least in terms of the scoreline anyway, and it does mean top of the Premier League and just outside of the top 8 in the Champions League going into the end of November, with 2 interesting games which we are about to show you, taking on Chelsea in the Premier League and then Real Sociedad in the Champions League. And something else that is worth noting off the back of this Chelsea game, we do have an international break to get through, but first up today we are hosting Chelsea in the Premier League. These guys currently 6th on the table, expected to finish 7th, so doing about what they are expected to, with of course Murat Yakin in charge these days. It's a pretty strong looking Chelsea lineup with their 4-3-3, but they are a decent way behind us already. Hopefully we can pick up a derby win here in our home game this season against these guys, even with the likes of Lukaku, Mount and Reece James in that lineup. And in terms of us going into this one, we do have a couple of injury concerns, but thankfully some of those players are actually quite close to returning, and Gabriel Martinelli is actually able to sit on the bench for us. He's been missing for most of that recent chunk, having picked up an injury in training. He can start from the bench in this one, so hopefully be back in the team by the time that we do take on Real Sociedad in the second game of today's episode. Also, both our backup strikers have been out injured recently, which has been a bit of a nuisance. It does mean that Gabriel Jesus is quite tired, but thankfully he's quite a fit player, so is getting through that nicely but pretty close to full strength for this one at home. And the other thing worth noting, right before this game is taking place, we did get sent through the list for the goal 50 this season. Of course, Kylian Mbappe is number one. As far as I'm aware, still hasn't signed a contract extension at Paris Saint-Germain. Is interested in joining us here at Arsenal. As I mentioned last week, maybe that is something that we do try and do once we get into January, albeit that wage might be a bit of an issue, but there are a few Arsenal players on this list. One of our new signings when we did join the club in Paris, all the way up in 17th, and then down towards the bottom, Odegaard and Martinelli 44th and 50th respectively. So a few Arsenal players on that list. The highest of them is Moises Perret, which is a little bit surprising to see him quite so high up, but to be fair, has been very good since he has joined us here. But hopefully these three players, amongst others, can help us pick up a derby win here against Chelsea, and we'll come back shortly for the team sheets for this London derby. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. With us being at home, we are going with the tiki-taka style for this one. We've got Kamara at the back in place of Saliba, quite injury prone, and the same does apply with Zinchenko in there for Tierney at left back, and with Martinelli only being recommended to start from the bench. Trincao is still out there on the left-hand side there, where Chelsea, we come into this one in some nice form, of course, since that loss to Aston Villa. So hopefully that continues and we can pick up a win on Derby Day. And here we have a highlight immediately from the kickoff, just as I was about to try and wrap things up there, thinking we weren't going to get one early, and Zinchenko has the ball early, plays that forward to Perret, 17th on that goal 50 list, plays this one for Gabriel Jesus, just manages to keep it. Now we play a ball over the top here for Tomiyasu, of course the wing back on attack in this tiki-taka style. Perret holds us up, plays that back to Tomiyasu. Now Coop Miners, Perret just keeps that one from Kante. Odegaard with a shot straight into the path of Bukayo Saka, so an interesting option there, and now Chelsea get a chance to play out from the back, albeit they lump that forward, and Bamba is there to get onto that before Lukaku can challenge him. Now Kamara in here today for Saliba, who can also play for us as that deep-lying playmaker, so should be suited to being the ball-playing defender, and Gabriel Jesus puts that one away, continues a good run of form, which has been very important with our other strikers having been injured, but he was offside, so unfortunately that one is not going to count. That would have been a brilliant start to this one, and that looks a little bit dodgy. Maybe VAR might be a Chelsea fan based on that, because that was a very close call. The goal got ruled out though, so still 0-0 coming up to the 10-minute mark. And just shy of the 15-minute mark, we get our next highlight in this game. It is a goal kick to Chelsea. They play it short here and try to play out from the back. Mason Mount plays that one back to N'Golo Kante, who these days can't be that far off from retirement, albeit this time it's Fano who gives it away. Trincao there with a shot, comes off the post, and Chelsea just do enough there to clear their lines. So two good early chances for us, but still 0-0 coming up to the 20-minute mark. And only a few minutes off the back of that previous highlight, Chelsea here with a throw-in. They have been very quiet so far in this game. We've certainly had the better of things early. Probably should be 1-0 up. That Jesus goal is a bit controversial why that one did get ruled out, but Chelsea here are on the front foot through Reece James. He squares that one across the box. Our defenders don't get in the way of Romelu Lukaku. He puts that one away, and despite our early dominance in this one, we do go 1-0 down. That is not ideal. So far at home, we've been pretty good with this tiki-taka style, and to be fair, we've started this one off quite well as well, but unfortunately, no reward for that, and Chelsea get us in their first real attack of the game and make it 1-0 just shy of the 30-minute mark. And that is half-time in this London derby, so in the end, the second part of that first half was quite quiet, albeit, as you can see there through the XG match story and the stats, Chelsea off the back of that goal certainly got on the front foot, still a bit miffed about whether Gabriel Jesus was offside for that early goal, which did get ruled out, but nonetheless, we do go into the sheds here 1-0 down. We are going to make a change at halftime with Tomiyasu being on a yellow card. Yanne Grass can come off the bench for him. Singo, very tired. Coming into this one, we might type mark Lukaku in the second half and see if that helps, but not a good first half, even though we played pretty well for the first part of it. We'll get things back underway, 1-0 down, and there is an early highlight here in the second half, and yet again Chelsea here are on the attack. It is Gouveia here who is inside the box, squares that one for Nkuku, but thankfully that one just lobs into the path of Ramsdale. So we are still 1-0 down early in the second half. And only a few minutes off the back of that first highlight of the second half, now down the other end here, it's a free kick in our favour, and Jesus will try and put this one into the top right corner. That one, a decent bit of power on it, but unfortunately just goes high and wide. So still trailing 1-0. And just shy of the hour mark, it's now a free kick down the other end for Chelsea. They lob this one into the mixer. We clear that one away. Now Lukaku is on the ball, plays that one to Murato. Now Mason Mount back for Kante, and Dembele out to Nkunku. They are on the retreat here, Chelsea, but do hold the ball, and to be fair, have looked the better team since they did get that goal earlier somewhat against the run of play, but we are putting good pressure on them here to try and keep them from taking a 2-0 lead. We clear that one nicely through Kamara, but apparently this could be a penalty. Not too sure how, because I'm pretty sure Kamara was always going to get to that ball first, but it is a penalty. That is another dodgy decision, it looks like, albeit editing Shaun might make that a little bit clearer for what I will see when I do put this one together. But Lukaku from the spot, and thankfully Ramsdale tries to make a double save for some reason, but the first time of asking, he got the job done. That one might be just a little bit of justice to make up for this Chelsea VAR. The subsequent corner they put into the mixer, thankfully Ramsdale does claim that, and we do only stay 1-0 down. Could have been worse there with that penalty, and while we are here, we will make some changes. We'll bring on, I think Vieira might come on here at left wing for Trincao. We'll bring on Haig Sterling for Odegaard not playing well, and also it is Jesus not doing too well out there either. Martinelli will give a run to up front, and hopefully those changes can get us back in this game, still 1-0 down. And just over 15 minutes left in this one, and we are now down the right end of the field here for a free kick. I say that it's about the halfway line, but still, we do have possession here. We have just dropped our defensive line back slightly since that last highlight, and now Vieira inside the box. He gets the ball back there. Thought that might nearly be a penalty, but Fabio Vieira off of the bench and playing in a somewhat unfamiliar position out on the left wing will put that one away, and thankfully it does mean for now we might be getting a point from this game. Otherwise it would have felt a little bit harsh with some of the calls that have gone against us in this one, but that is a good finish off the back of evading the tackle there from Reece James, and that makes it 1-1 with 15 minutes left. And while we are here, I think we'll just check if we do need to make our last substitution. And indeed, Koopmeiners and Pere are down to red heart, so I think the best idea here might be to take off Koopmeiners. Pere is a little bit too important for us these days, so Ugarte will come on for him, and hopefully we might be able to push for a winner in these last 15 minutes. And off the back of that equaliser and last substitution, there is a highlight here from the restart for Chelsea, so hopefully we don't give them a chance to get back in front here. They try and play that one over the top for Julian Alvarez, but Zinchenko will deal with that. Ramsdale plays that one out to Kamara, starts to make his way forward, picks out Ugarte. Now Pere, as we take our time here to play out from the back. Hopefully that goal just gives us a bit of momentum going into the closing stages of this game, and Zinchenko with some somewhat fresh legs starts to make his way down that left-hand side. Now Vieira also with some fresh legs will try and put that one into the mixer for Grass, but unfortunately that one goes just over the bar. So still locked up with just over 10 minutes left. And with just under 10 minutes left, now we have a corner here, and we put this far post. Bamba gets his head on the end of it, and then Grass Mendy makes a big save, albeit he was offside, but we're starting to get some chances late in this one. Still 1-1 as we do enter the last 5 minutes. We might even go positive for the latter stages of this game, but it does look like it is going to end in a 1-1 draw. Both teams had some chances to pick up a win in that game. We had some good ones late, and also still not sure about that goal which got ruled out early from Gabriel Jesus, but thankfully they did get a goal back for us late in that one off the back of Lukaku scoring in the first half, and also Ramsdale with a big penalty save at the hour mark off the back of a somewhat debatable penalty decision, albeit, as I said, editing Shaun has probably blown that one up and made it look a little bit clearer, but I think that's probably a fair result, even though we could have potentially won that game, but not too fast against a team like Chelsea in a local derby, and that does mean hopefully we will do enough here to stay up near the top of the Premier League, if not on top, depending on what does happen in the other results on that match day. Maybe even we need to try the GEGENPRESS at home as well, because that was not the greatest performance, but not the worst as well, against a team like Chelsea. But for now, we are still on top of the Premier League, albeit those teams behind us, with a game in hand off the back of a 1-1 draw in the London derby against Chelsea. And a quick news update before we do get into the international break, and also show you guys highlights from that Sheffield United game in between the two. In today's episode, thankfully, the other results on that match day did go in our favour, so that draw was not the worst result. We do stay on top of the table by 1 point over Liverpool and Aston Villa. And also off the back of Aston Villa picking up that 4-0 win over Cardiff. I'm surprised it's taken this long. But if we do go over to the news items, Mikel Arteta has finally been sacked. The favourites for the job now are Garitano from Luton, Ange Postecoglou or Igor Jovicevic, but it is going to be a new manager at Cardiff yet again. Mikel Arteta was bloomin' awful there, so maybe by the time we take those guys on in tomorrow's episode, they might have a new manager who might have hopefully improved their form as well. And we have gone forward to the day of the second game in today's episode against Real Sociedad in the Champions League, but here are the highlights from a few days earlier as we did travel to take on Sheffield United. Playing a GEGENPRESS, got off to a good start there with Jesus opening the scoring around the half-hour mark, I believe it was. Then with about 15 minutes left, he did get his second goal, was actually onside that time. That one did look a little bit dodgy, so maybe making up for what happened in the previous game. Then Aaron Ramsdale went on a bit of an adventure, and they did grab a goal back with 10 minutes left, but thankfully it did not prove costly. Just as we did enter injury time, Zinchenko puts this into the mixer, and Jesus somehow wins that one in the air. He picks up a hat-trick, and we grab all 3 points there with a 3-1 win. So a decent performance, especially stats-wise, as you can see. Away from home, we are a lot more dominant with this GEGENPRESS than we have been with the tiki-taka. So I do think it's a better tactic to use away from home, and maybe even might end up being our default tactic, or be a little bit cautious of that. If we use it all the time, we might end up with some very, very tired players, but a good performance there. And it does mean that for now, we do stay on top of the Premier League, as we are about to focus on the Champions League for our next game, where we are going to take on Real Sociedad, albeit before then, a quick update on the Cardiff job. And after they did opt to go for Mikel Arteta over him at the first time of asking, it does look like this time they are going to pinch Marco Rose from RB Leipzig. They are awaiting a permit for that move. It's a little bit surprising because Leipzig have beaten Cardiff in the Champions League so far this season, but obviously he does see the potential in that Cardiff team, so that might make them a lot more formidable in the future. Cardiff with Marco Rose coming over from RB Leipzig, so certainly an interesting appointment in the works there. I think a lot better than what they did do previously with Mikel Arteta. But as I said, we are about to get stuck in to the Champions League yet again. At the moment, we are just outside of one of those top 8 spots, which would be useful, because instead of having to play in a knockout playoff, we go straight through to the round of 16. So certainly some benefits for finishing in that top 8. And we take on a team who are actually struggling quite a bit so far, all the way down in 22nd in Real Sociedad, which is a little bit surprising because they are one of the teams who was in pot 1 or pot 2. Can't quite remember which one, but certainly one of our tougher opponents in the Champions League this season. And in terms of them, we can't see too much on the overview, of course, because the Liga is not loaded with this being a British Isles and Irish challenge. But they do have a decent team there, especially players like Oyarzabal in the midfield will be probably one to keep an eye out on, but hopefully a team that we can pick up at least a draw against here away from home, especially off the back of a few rough results so far in this competition. They did beat Legia Warsaw on the opening day, but since then, heavy loss to Man City and draws against Newcastle and Lyon. So hopefully this is a game that we can be winning, especially as we see if this GEGENPRESS can do the job with what is pretty much our best 11 going into this one, apart from the fact that Saliba is still out, being quite highly injury prone. So that is the only change to what would usually be our first choice 11. So hopefully we'll get a good indication here of what we can do with this GEGENPRESS, because so far when we have used it, it has been with a few players here and there who wouldn't usually be starting in our regular best 11, so hopefully this team can put out a good performance away from home. And we'll come back shortly and run through the Sociedad team sheets as well as listen to that beautiful Champions League music, as hopefully we can make our way inside that top 8 by picking up some points against Real Sociedad in Spain. And here we go, Champions League time, and here are the team sheets for the second game of today's episode. They are also playing a 4-2-3-1. Real Sociedad, as I said, the player to keep an eye out on, probably Oyarzabal. He is out at left wing, and as I said, for us, just Kamara in there for Salaba. But apart from that, this is our first choice 11, so hopefully we can pick up a good result here away from home, and as I said, get ourselves into that top 8 for one of those round of 16 spots instead of having to go through a playoff knockout game. And 5 minutes into this one, we do get our first highlight as a free kick, albeit inside the box, and Ramsdale takes it short before Bamba does play that one out to Tomiyasu down that right-hand side. He finds Saka, who does just hold things up. Now Tomiyasu does start to cut inside, picks out Pere. Nice ball over the top there for Martinelli, and what a finish that is at the first time of asking a little bit of help there from the underside of the crossbar, but that is a brilliant start and a wonderful bit of play there from both Pere with the pass and Martinelli with the finish. As I said, bit of help from the post, but still nothing that Sociedad can do about that one, and we take an early 1-0 lead away from home. And about 20 minutes into this one, we do get the next highlight in this game off the back of that early goal to Martinelli, and yet again here we get a chance to play out from the back. Tomiyasu has picked up a yellow card, so we might have to look to take him off here at half-time. But now Odegaard on the byline tries to put this one far post for Gabriel Jesus. He heads that one home very much like he did against Sheffield United so far. He has been lethal for us up front since we have joined Arsenal. That makes it 2-0, and already the GEGENPRESS here looks like it is going to do a number on Real Sociedad. Good hit of that from Jesus into that bottom left corner, and we are now 2 goals up. And not too long off the back of that previous goal, now we are down the other end here for a Real Sociedad chance. They put this one into the mixer. Oyarzabal gets onto that, a big chance, but thankfully puts that one over the bar. So we are still 2-0 up. And inside the last 10 minutes of this first half, and yet again we are on the ball here looking to play out from the back, albeit this time Martinelli with a loose touch, and Sociedad here do get a chance to do something for only really the second time in this game. Jesus there did have the ball briefly, but played it back, gave it away, and Oyarzabal will put that one away past Ramsdale at his near post. That was certainly a chance for us to deal with that and not concede, but unfortunately Jesus, as you can see in this upcoming bit of play, gets on the ball, tries to play it back, but Sadiq does get in the way, and Oyarzabal beats Ramsdale from close range, and that might make things a bit more interesting in this one, 2-1, with only a few minutes left in the first half. And just inside injury time, we have a late free kick here in this first half as Liverpool take a lead over Bayern Munich, but Pele, I think, gets his head on the end of that one. In fact, it might even be Tomiyasu. His name did come up after Pere, so I did think he was the goal scorer, but Tomiyasu does make more sense, being a lot taller, and at that far post, he puts that one past the goalkeeper into that right corner from that angle, and thankfully, we do get our cushion goal lead back in this one late into the first half, 3-1, as we should now be heading in to the sheds, albeit very shortly off the back of that, yet another free kick. This time it's a bit messy, and Bamba is there at the far post, and he heads that one home, and 2 set-piece goals right before half-time hopefully gives us enough of a cushion to hold on here and pick up all 3 points. I think this time Sadiq tried to clear that one, and Bamba, very alert, good hustle, and beats the goalkeeper there at his near post, and that will make it 4-1 going into the sheds. And if you're Real Sociedad, you can feel a little bit harsh about that scoreline, because until those late chances, it was quite an even game, and even stats-wise still fairly even, but we now have a good buffer going in to the second half. As I suggested earlier, Tomiyasu on that yellow card will come off for Singo, but that is a good first half here with the GEGENPRESS. We'll get things back underway, 4-1 up. And only a few minutes into the second half, we were on the attack there, but Oyarzabal does win the ball back for Real Sociedad, tries to play that ball across, and to be fair, does find a teammate for a minute there. We might win that one back with that pass being quite a long one, but Williams finds Sadiq, decent header, but thankfully that one does go wide. So still 4-1 Arsenal. And just past the hour mark, we get our second highlight here of the second half, and it is us in possession here at Arsenal. We have this one around the halfway line. Our defenders trying to move this up to our midfield. Good work there from Coop Miners to keep possession there for us, because that pass did look a little bit weak. Now Saka finds Singo here in space down the right-hand side. He picks out Jesus, yet again grabs the goal, and some superb touch now. His 17th goal of the season, albeit some might be added on there from the Club World Cup before we did take charge here at Arsenal, and that should absolutely put pay to this game. 5-1 with just under a half hour left. Good work there from Singo. Jesus puts that one away. Odegaard might have been offside, but thankfully apparently did not interfere, and that makes it 5-1 Arsenal. And shortly off the back of that fifth goal, now we go down the end yet again for a corner. Bumba can't quite get on the end of it, but Martinelli does just about tidy up, but then gives it away to Roca, and Sociedad here might get a chance to do something somewhat on the counter-attack, albeit they try and play that one forward for Nico Williams, but we tidy that one up, and now Pere gets that ball played out to him by Ramsdale. Now Kieran Tierney, who I believe got that ball back for us, plays it forward to Martinelli, switches this one out for Bukayo Saka inside the box, squares this one, it's a bit messy, and Martinelli pokes that one home bottom left corner, and that makes it 6-1 with 25 minutes left. And today we are being oh so clinical in front of goal. Reminds me of a game in real life that happened last weekend. But Saka, good work there off the back of that switch. It's a bit messy. Jesus gets the ball taken off him, but thankfully it does fall for Martinelli. Now both he and Jesus are on a hat-trick, and it makes it 6-1 with still 20 minutes left. And a few minutes off the back of that most recent goal, I'm going to be a bit mean here and take off Martinelli, because he has gone down to a red heart, is coming back from an injury, and also only a few days off the back of this game, we are taking on Manchester City, so probably not the worst idea to give some of these players a rest, especially with this lead. Also, Vera comes on for Odegaard and Sambi Lakonga for Pere. 20 minutes left, still 6-1 up. And a few minutes off the back of those substitutions, now it's a free kick in our favour. Vera puts this one far post, and Bukayo Saka will head that one home. Today our set pieces have been absolutely lethal. I'm pretty sure he was onside, and that makes it 7-1. And this is an absolute thrashing with the GEGENPRESS, albeit with these set piece goals. Not too sure if that is the only reason, but that's a simple set piece somehow. They've left a lot of players there open at the far post. Of all of them, Bukayo Saka heads that one home. 7-1 with just over 10 minutes left, and shortly off the back of that, it is a goal kick for Real Sociedad, but Coop Miners will win that one. Trincao nearly gets it back for us. They try and switch that one to their right-hand side and do a decent job. In fact, their left-hand side, our right-hand side, but now Sociedad get this one up to Oyafable, but good work there from Kamara to win that ball back for us. Now Singo for Saka, this right-hand side doing well for us, and Jesus with a late chance here for a hat-trick. Chips the goalkeeper, but Nico Williams just does enough to keep that one from crossing the line, and Real Sociedad do give the ball away there on the counter-attack. And while we are here, I think we'll make our last substitution with 10 minutes left. A few players down to red hearts, but Kieran Tierney, probably the most injury-prone of those, so Zinchenko will come on for him. 7-1 late in this Champions League clash. And we're entering injury time in this game. There's only 2 minutes, and to be fair, it has been a very good performance. As you can tell by the stats, a fairly even game. We're certainly with a better team, but not by as much as the scoreline would suggest. But that was a very good performance by pretty much everyone who did start for us today, and we pick up a 7-1 win, and that might suggest that the GEGENPRESS is going to be very effective away from home. As you've seen in our previous games where we have been using the tiki-taka away from home, we've been the worst team and not really doing too well with it. That was certainly a far better performance, especially in the Champions League against the team like Real Sociedad, certainly even better than when we took on Copenhagen the last time that we did use it. And that is a very good result. And as you can see, it does move us up to 5th on that Champions League table. So that does mean that for now, we would be going through straight to the round of 16, which does mean we can skip out on a few extra games. Also, Cardiff still can't pick up a win in the Champions League. Legia Warszawa holding them to a draw, but that is a very good win. We pick it up 7-1 over Real Sociedad and move into that top 8 in the Champions League. And back in the inbox off the back of that second game in today's episode, a very good win. There's 7-1, doesn't quite have the same ring to it as 7-0, but still, that is a very good result and gets us right in the hunt to hopefully finish in one of those top 8 spots, especially with only 3 games left. And those 3 games are against Dortmund, which we are going to show you guys in a couple of episodes' time, and also Bodo Glimt and Celtic, the latter 2 are at home. So hopefully we are now in a position where we can hold on to one of those top 8 spots and, as I said, make our way straight through to the round of 16. But that will do it for today's episode. Some good wins off the back of a slightly disappointing draw against Chelsea, a few controversial calls in that game. If you enjoyed this episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We're going to come back right off the back of where we are going to leave things for today's episode for tomorrow's one, because our next 2 games are very interesting indeed. First up, we take on Manchester City. Of course, that is the team who Arsenal's previous manager did leave them for. That was the job, of course, that we were also after at the start of the season before this one became available at Arsenal. And then we return to our former club away from home, our first trip to Wales since we did ditch them for Arsenal, and we take on Cardiff, hopefully by then, with Marco Rose in charge, and see just how bad they are these days, all the way down in 20th after we got them into the Champions League last season. That could be a very interesting game, but hopefully one with that GEGENPRESS where we can pick up a good result. But it'll be interesting to see how they are getting on without us there in Wales. So until tomorrow for that double, Man City and Cardiff in the Premier League, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.